Hi year 8s, welcome back to your week 3 Japanese work. In this video I'm going to describe to you how you need to complete your work for week 3. Thank you to all of those people who submitted their week 1 and week 2 work on time. I know a lot of you are doing your Japanese on paper, which is fine, and a couple of you have also taught yourself how to type in Japanese, which is really good too. So this is the cover sheet that you would have had attached or stapled to the front of your Japanese work. And down here is a summary of what we're going to learn this week. Making sure that you're finishing all of the activities that you can. Unless you're really stuck on a question, I want you to have a go at everything. Now, all of this work here is due by Friday week 3, so Friday afternoon. Try and get that to me. If that means you're going to be dropping it off on Friday, that's fine. You may also be dropping it off on Monday. If you're picking up new work for week 4, that is fine as well. So what I want you to do, making sure that you're setting aside 2 hours a week to get your Japanese work done. I've also reduced the amount of work that you need to complete for Japanese and history this week, only 4 pages for Japanese. So 4 pages and 2 hours, I think that's plenty of time. Some of you, actually a lot of you will probably get it done quicker than that. Alright, so let's have a look down here at what we need to do. So week 3's topic, we're learning some new vocabulary and verbs this week. So this is not new stuff here, neither is this. This is a review of our kanji and some kanji combination words we learnt in week 1 and week 2. So this is just practicing all of our new kanji. We know that we have a lot of kanji that we need to learn for this unit, and this is one way that we're going to practice that. So, question number 1, all you have to do is fill in the romaji in English for each of these individual kanji. Remember, the kanji and their pronunciations and meanings are included on your vocabulary chart. For 1b, this is looking at some of our kanji word combinations. So we know that sometimes a kanji on its own is pronounced differently as to when it is in a certain word. So making sure that you understand that you're completing it correctly here and knowing that it may change slightly about how it is actually pronounced. The meaning of the kanjis, however, stays the same in English. Now, we completed one of these activities last week where we did a mix and match between our Year 7 and Year 12 year levels. We know in Japanese schools, high school is divided into middle school and then high school. So middle school is years 7, 8 and 9. High school is years 10, 11 and 12. And we know that the numbering starts again at the start of each new year level or school that they move up in. So for example, if you're in year 7, you're actually in middle school year 1. When you go into year 10, which is high school, you're in high school year 1, and it goes up in 1, 2 and 3. So matching up those there to make sure that you still remember how to convert Australian year levels to Japanese year levels. Number 3 down here are some simple sentences. Each Japanese student is explaining what year level they are in. They are all in different year levels, and I've given you their name here as well. You don't actually need to know the name to be able to complete this. All you're doing is putting each of these sentences into English. The first one says, Watashi wa chugaku ichinensei desu. So watashi wa means I for a girl. Desu means am. You need to tell me what year level she's in. Boku wa koukou ni nensei desu. Boku wa means I for boys. Desu means am. I am in this year level. And Nami is of course a girl. Watashi wa shogaku 5 年生 desu. So what year is Nami in? What sentence is she saying in Japanese? Now this is when we get into some of our new vocabulary. This week we are starting to look at the different subjects that we learn at school. Now, Japanese people have their own words for subjects, so there's no katakana words when we're learning our subject words. The word for subject itself in Japanese is kamoku, kamoku. So that's what that heading means there. What I want you to do with this table is first write out each subject name 3 times on a blank piece of paper. And I've given you the option to write romaji or script there. So for example, the word to study English in Japan is eigo. So I would write eigo, eigo, eigo to remember that that is how I write and pronounce English. And same with the rest of those subjects there. Once you've completed practicing writing out the subjects 3 times each, you need to highlight your favourite 3 subjects in the table below. Now I've given you pictures, we've got the English there, and we also have the Romaji and the script for each of those. So out of all of these subjects, what are your 3 favourite ones? Now, one subject I will talk about here is this one called National Language. Now, the hint here is that it's got a hiragana art symbol on the front of the book. National language is what Japanese people call their own language. So when they say, when they're actually learning how to speak Japanese or going to a literature class, they call it national language, which is kokugo. When they are studying English, so when they are doing their English lessons, it's called eigo. So they don't say, oh, I'm going to Japanese, they say, I'm going to my national language class. Once you've had a go at those ones, have a go at this crossword here. So there are 10 subjects hidden in this crossword, and I've given you a hint, you'll find the word for science twice. So science is a 2-symbol word, rika, so rika will be in there twice. Once you've found all of the words, the 10 words that you find in there, there will be 3 hiragana characters left over. You need to decode those and figure out what subject it spells. So for example, taiku, we can see that's actually 4 symbols. So if we're only looking for 3 symbols, taiku is not going to be it. It could be any of these ones that only have the 3 symbols. Cooking is too long, man arts is too long, music is too long. Excuse me. So this is what I explained to you before. I forgot I put in this did you know bubble. So this is explaining the difference between Japanese people, what they call a national language, and what they call when they study English, our language. The question here is asking you to reflect on this. In Australia, do we have a kokuko? What is this subject called on your timetable? And roughly how many hours a week do you study this subject? That's an English question there. The last activity we have for this week is reading a Japanese timetable. So in this timetable, there is nothing that is an extra word. Everything you should be able to find on your vocabulary chart. Now, we do have a title here. You don't necessarily need to decode the title, but judging by the year level, Chugaku ni Nensei, it's a middle school timetable. The second school of middle year is year 8. This kanji here says ji. We know that from our last unit, meaning clock or hour or time. Jikanwari. Jikanwari means timetable. Those 2 words are actually on your vocab chart. So this is a year 8 timetable in Japan. Now, I have just written the lessons here in English. There are 2 sections here that go across all days of the week. You do need to tell me what those mean. And then also I've given you the names of the days of the week as well. So your job is to put as much of that as you can into English. So you just need to type underneath the Japanese. All of the stuff in the white boxes in the middle are going to be subject names. So those are going to tell you what subject that person is studying in the lesson. So first step, I would start by decoding my days of the week. I would figure out what this is, I'd figure out what this is, and then I would go through and decode each of the subjects individually. Now, just to show that you do understand the timetable above, I've asked you to answer in English. So what subject is Tuesday lesson 3? You write your answer there in English. So Tuesday, lesson 3 to 4, which is here, what does that word mean in English? And a couple of questions there. Question 5C is a space that we're looking at the idea of cleaning being in the timetable again. So this is asking you to think back to week 1 and why would you think there is a timetabled space for cleaning in that timetable for every Japanese student. And then another question that we looked at in a previous unit last year, why do you think students go to school on a Saturday? Hint, think back to cram school topics. So remember, cram school is a school after school. It's like an extra study group or tutoring. So if we go to the timetable here, you'll notice that there is way more days of the week on here than on our English timetable at Aura. So for example, if this was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we can see that there's Saturday stuff up here until at least lunchtime. So why do you think the kids have a Saturday timetable, and perhaps even look at the types of subjects they study on Saturday? Maybe those are the most important subjects for Japanese students. The last thing we're going to look at after the timetable is putting it all together. So we've looked at a timetable itself, we have looked at our new words, and we have reviewed our old kanji from last week. So page 1, 2, 3, and our last page is page 4. On this page, we are looking at 2 new sentence patterns. So this is a question, and then we have 2 available answers for that question. What I want you to do is highlight the separate parts of the sentence pattern. We usually do this when we learn a new sentence pattern, and working at home is no different. I've given you the example of the question. Now the question word is asking what is on this lesson. So for example, at school all the time you might say, hey, what do we have next? What's, lesson 3 today? And someone might say, oh, it's science. And someone's like, no, it's not science, it's art. So this is a conversation that mimics that, but in Japanese. So this person is asking in the example question, what is the third lesson time? Or what's lesson number 3? What do we have on third today? The number goes first. So san means 3. Ji kanme. Ji we know means time. Kanme means lesson. So we've got third time lesson or third lesson. Wa nan desu ka? What is it? Question mark. So what is the third lesson? 2 sample answers here. The 5th lesson time is art, or the 5th lesson is art. We put the number 5 first. We put in ji kanme, which means lesson time. Wa, and then we insert the subject name here and des. So it's the exact same structure as the question. All we do is cut off the question mark and replace the what word with the answer. So the time of the lesson always goes first, followed by a wa. So 5時間目は美術です. The 5th lesson is art. If you want to say something is not on next, or the 6th lesson is not maths today, we add in the word janai. Now janai comes from our like word. Remember when we say ga tsuki desu, I like it, or if you say ga tsuki janai desu, I don't like it. So janai means not or don't. So it's the exact same pattern as this one above, except we've inserted an extra word before the des, which is the janai. So if I wanted to say PE is not the 6th lesson, I put my 6th lesson time first. 6時間目は I put in the subject 体育じゃないです. 6th time lesson PE not is. So PE is not the 6th lesson. Once you've got your head around those, this is some practice questions for you here. There are only 6 that you have to answer. 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, 3A, 3B. Okay? Obviously, the person who is always A is going to ask a question, and you can see at the end of each A, they have got the ka symbol, which means question mark. Then the person in the B column is going to give them the answer. So looking up here, we've got our question, and we've got 2 options for the answer here. So your job, I know that this box is probably too small to type in, so I've given you an extra table to type in here. So this box here is actually, you can type in your English answers underneath. Person A says, 1時間目は何ですか? Person B says, 1時間目は数学です. The first lesson is something. 1時間目は英語ですか? First lesson English, is it? Question mark. 英語じゃないです。国語です。3A. 音楽は何時間目ですか? This question is in a slightly different order because they're asking a specific thing. So what time is this subject on? Then the person replies, 音楽は4時間目です. So see if you can figure out what those sentences mean in English. That's all you need to do for your week 3 work, guys. So remember, this stuff is our work from week 1 and 2. These are our new subject words. This is a practice of the subject words. This is practicing reading the subject words in a timetable. And this is a little tiny bit of sentence practice. Week 4, we're going to work a lot more on this, so don't worry too much if that still isn't making that much sense for you. If you have any questions, please email me. I'm working at home this week, so I'll try and get to my emails as much as I can.